Right, welcome back. Another Wedding Wednesday edition of Your Relationship Sucks! Exclamation! Well, I did that one off screen. Exclamation point. I was nervous. I know, everybody who's watching and listening, always very excited about that part. I missed it, made up for it. We're okay. We
Is it
got
because you're so
another.
excited that it's Wedding Wednesday?
It's very possible. I love wedding questions. Not as much as I love college confessions. That will never, ever be the case. But I do love wedding questions. People get so stupid about weddings, like just genuinely stupid, because they're not thinking straight, right? Like they're not,
Yeah.
they're just dumb. People are just dumb. They get too wrapped up in all the bullshit and they can't remember what's actually important about this. So, yes, I'm excited about a Wedding Wednesday. Again, everybody who's listening, we appreciate it. Make sure that you do whatever you're supposed to do, to like listen to the podcast or the YouTube, whichever one you're not doing, do the other one, please. We would really appreciate that. We're now international. We're international. It turns out it's really not that difficult to become international. You just put it on, and then somebody does it for you. Some
Yes.
person has coded some stuff, and they made us international literally for free. Pretty sweet deal for us. Not a good deal for them, but that's all right. So we are, you can find us anywhere, all those things. Your relationship sucks. You find us anywhere. Please do that. But again, we're going to answer some wedding questions. We're going to answer a wedding question today. I don't know what's coming. I have no idea. But you got something good for us. So hit me with it. Let's start with first questions. What do you have?
My bridesmaid has shitty taste in dates. Can I pick hers?
1,000%. 1,000%. Absolutely. This is a yes. Bridezilla the shit out of this girl. 100%. Absolutely. That's my initial take. Down, I'm going to be wrong.
I've never heard you, I don't even know what word I'm looking for because I'm a little speechless here. I've never heard you support a bridezilla before.
This girl is so right about this specific decision. She is so right about this specific decision that I can't not support her. It would be unconstitutional for me to not support her.
Unconstitutional. We're throwing out some heavy language very early on. So let's get into the actual request to see if you'll maintain your constitutional right stance.
Okay.
I'm needing some insight on one of my bridesmaids. She's a dear friend who I met after college, who I've had some of my most pivotal adult memories with. I love spending time with her, and personally, I think she's a catch. However, where we clash is in our judgment of partners. While I've been with my fiance for a few years now, I have also tried to boost the friend's confidence in the dating scene. Sometimes she encounters someone flaky, and I encourage her to love herself, to do what's best for her, whether that's dating or taking care of herself. Lately, however, she's been solely dating older folk from the same group. Each one has not only broken it off, but crashed and burned at her detriment. This one judged her learning disability. That one physically threatened her safety. This one hooked up with another girl in front of her. Sometimes I think the humans she chooses are just shit. Other times I become baffled as to why she wouldn't use an app, a friend, or a social gathering to purposely look outside her own orbit for less terrible people. It sometimes seems like she chooses terrible folk out of convenience. Fast forward to my wedding in a few weeks. As a bridesmaid, of course, friend gets a non-negotiable +1. Some of her sentence structure is a little, she's trying too hard, and it's making it very difficult to read out loud. We have a mutual friend who has offered multiple times to be friend's date. Knowing that we wouldn't have to be babysat or coddled while friend is participating in the bridesmaids things. When friend hears this, she always dramatizes, what if I fall in love? Love is absolutely an option for friend, but am I a terrible human for not wanting a potentially shitty ex in my wedding photos? How do I politely explain that by a certain deadline, I prefer she not bring a new partner to my wedding and just go with our mutual friend? Also, am I going to hell for this?
Whoa. Wow. Okay. That took a left turn at the end. I was not, honestly, I genuinely wasn't expecting an eternal sort of condemnation, overriding this whole sort of situation, right? Like I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really anticipating whether or not her mortal soul was going to go to heaven or hell while you were reading this question. Like none of this made me
Yeah,
think
I didn't even know that was an
she's bad
option on the
enough.
table.
No, literally, I didn't realize that. But now I know that that's the case, so I will have to answer that question. Um, Maybe is the answer to that question. It's possible. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is possible. Um, all right, let's Jesus Christ. Let's try to understand who this girl is as a person, okay?
The bride or the friend?
Literally any of them. I don't even know at this point. I have no idea who I'm even talking about. This friend is she has multiple exes, right? No, number one, what learning disability do you think she has?
I don't know, like dyslexia or maybe something, kind of similar, right? Like,
I mean, like there are certain things that it's okay to make fun of. You know what I mean? Like there are some things where it's like, yeah, guess what? You can't read. That's funny. Doesn't mean I'm not going to try and help you read. But yeah, sometimes when you say stuff out loud, it makes me laugh because you sound stupid. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a bad take, Like, it's not, and you don't have to defend yourself. It's like, yeah, guess what? Like, that's funny. It happens. Like, it's part of your life. That's how it is. Try again. You know what I mean? Like, so, if it's like a real specific thing, whatever. But if it's like, sometimes she stumbles over some words and the guy, gives her shit about it. Like, all right, let's maybe calm down with the judgment on that. Well, some of those other things that she said, though, were like, these other people are like, you're a bad person. Like you're a shitty human being. Like there's nothing redeeming about you. Like things like this, right? Which is that's a different question.
The learning disability was like a judge for the learning disability.
Yeah.
The next one was physically threatened her safety.
Yeah, that's different.
And another hooked up with another girl in front of her.
Yeah, so like those last two are in a completely different category. So I'm concerned about this reader or this question asker, the bride. I'm concerned about her ability to kind of put things in perspective, right? Like, if you're reading something and you mess up a couple of letters and make the word mean something different, that's not the same as somebody banging somebody in front of you. Like those are completely different.
As someone with dyslexia that does that frequently, I'm gonna have to agree. Not that I needed dyslexia to agree with you, but
sometimes it's just funny. I mean, look,
sometimes it's funny.
It is.
You don't even know you said the wrong word sometimes.
100%,
you just genuinely
100%.
don't know, and everyone's looking at you like you're crazy, and you're like, "Why are you people crazy?" And then they're like, "Do you realize what you just said?" And I'm like, "No, no idea."
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like think about this, right? Like suppose you have dyslexia. Like number dyslexia, which I think is the thing. Doesn't matter if it is or not. Who cares? Let's say you have that and you spend your whole life, just imagine you spend your whole life thinking that 31 is the unlucky number. You know what I mean? Your whole life, you think that 31 is the unlucky number. That would be funny. I mean, it wouldn't be hilarious, but it would be humorous, right? You'd be like, you're stupid, It's not your fault. I'm not saying don't try again. I'm just saying that's kind of funny. Somebody banging somebody else in front of you, that's a completely different category of transgression that these people are making. So so this lady, it seems like she's basically saying, I've hated all these exes and I'm just grasping for straws, right? And so she's had a couple of duds, like some real actual duds, like physical abuse or whatever, threatening, whatever that shit was. Like, so she's had some like actual things to be concerned about. And then she's had some ones where this lady was like, I don't know, didn't like the way he wore his hair. You know what I mean? And it's like, all right, well, those aren't exactly the same, but it's okay if you didn't like him. But, you don't have to be like, well, his left arm was a little bit longer than his right arm, and he sort of stood weird, and so he was a piece of shit. It's like, all right, well, if you didn't like him like that, like let's calm down and let's be very specific about why you don't like him. Okay. I don't understand. So okay. So you're saying, but then she says, I think my friend is into dudes who are only convenient, but she won't try apps, which makes zero sense to me because that is literally the most convenient that it could possibly be. Literally in your hand at any moment, you can find guys just by swiping, like all of that. That is literally as convenient as possible. So again, I'm questioning the bride saying, I don't know that you're really honest. Like, you're being fair. I mean, because think about that. Like, she's just shitting all over her friend in this case, right? Like, she spent the first, 3 paragraphs in this thing saying, like, oh, she's nice. She's got pretty hair. She has, I don't know, adopts dogs, whatever the hell she did.
Yeah,
she did all that shit.
She personally thinks she's a catch.
No, she said all that stuff just so that she could shit on her, right? Like, that's what she did. She said all that stuff so that she could be like, but she's a real shitty human being. Right? Like that's what happened. That's literally what happened. You know what I mean? So this is why when you read these things,
to justify what she wanted to say.
Exactly, right? And so this is what I'm talking about. Like, when you read these questions, or when when people talk to you about their problems, what you have to do is fundamentally understand what they're doing, right? And what this girl is doing is saying, my friend's kind of a piece of shit, but let me say some nice stuff up front. So when I actually tell you that, you'll think that I'm not a bad person for telling you that. Right? She doesn't care how you feel about the friend, because at the end, she wants you to think her friend is stupid, right? At the end, that's what she wants. She wants you to think that her friend is dumb and can't make good decisions. But she is just worried for her friend, right? That's what she wants you to think. Really, the answer is she thinks her friend is just garbage, just a garbage person, making garbage decisions about the most important aspects of her life. But she's not willing to, she's trying to couch that, right? So we got to call out the bride and say, look, this is bullshit. Like, you can't do that, okay? Now, you can like who you like. You can date who you like, whatever. If you think she's a catch, then you wouldn't think she was such a piece of shit. Number one, I mean, genuinely. Obviously, there's something wrong with her, right? If she keeps choosing the wrong person, there's something wrong with her. I'm not saying something wrong with her personally. I mean, literally, there is something wrong with her ability to choose the right person. Especially if it's going in that order, where it's like they made fun of her dyslexia and now they're physically harming her. If it went the other way, I actually think the girl's getting better, right? Like, well, they used to kind of almost beat her, and now they're just calling her silly names sometimes. Now I'm like, all right, well, actually, it sounds like she's making better decisions, right? But I don't think that's how it's going. I'm going to guess that it's going the other manner, right? Where she's just stuck in this rut of these dudes who whatever. Now, the reason I know this girl thinks that her friend is a piece of shit is because what she's saying is she's only going with the people that she hangs around with. That's what she said. She said she is not willing to go outside the people that are around her in her daily life, which means she's surrounding herself by people who are willing to physically abuse her, or threaten, I guess, maybe to physically abuse her, and to apparently have sex with other people in front of her, which, again, that's just a wild choice. Anybody who's seen this show or listens to this or whatever, you can agree or disagree with me, but I at least am very, very consistent with just respecting people who do just some brazen shit like that, right? If you're just you know what, fuck it, let me just do this.
Yeah.
Honestly, I respect the move. I don't necessarily, and none of that is whether I endorse it, I don't endorse it, doesn't matter. I just respect people who are just fuck it, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn the consequences, I don't even care, right? Because that takes balls. It takes balls to do things like that, and I respect people who do that. And, if I don't agree with it, then I hope they get their comeuppance, and if I do agree with it, I'm rooting for them. Doesn't matter what I think. I just respect people like that. So for her to find somebody like that, I'm kind of going, all right, well, there's something you can learn from that guy, right? Maybe stand up for yourself. Do what you want, right? Do what you want. And so if your bride friend is going to tell you like you have to date this person or whatever, I would tell the other girl, I would tell her, no, don't listen to that. No, don't let her put a cap on you and who you can bring and all that stuff. But she's not the one asking the question, right? It's the bride who's asking the question. And so what I'm going to tell the bride is this. I don't think that I understand the what she said. She had a deadline or something somehow. There was a deadline in there. I don't really get that part.
She just wanted to like let her know probably before, it sounded like kind of an arbitrary deadline before it was too late or too close to the wedding.
But I don't understand what's that going to do? Like, what does she have to? She doesn't have to do anything for that. Like, she just brings one. As long as she marked, like, here's what they want to eat or whatever, like, what, I don't understand.
I don't know. She just said, like, how do I politely explain that by a certain deadline?
Okay, all right, well, don't do that, because that's stupid. Like, that's dumb. That's not going to work, because she's going to be like, because she's going to have the same question as me. She's going to be like, why do I arbitrarily have to tell you who I'm bringing by a certain date? Like, what, you have to do another name card? Boo fucking who, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? Right? So if that's not going to work, like, don't do whatever this deadline stuff is. I don't know what that is.
If everyone has a deadline, then I don't know why this person her bridesmaid would be any different.
Yeah, but this sounds like she's not saying
that. She's like saying she's trying to make it deadline. Yeah,
right, like she's trying to make it very specific. I'm saying.
Like,
so don't do that.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so you're saying implement a deadline for everybody? You're saying that's the way around it, is implement a deadline for everybody.
If like she needs a certain time because she needs to like she wants to like a week before her wedding she wants things finalized. Like by that point, like it's pretty customary to know like is this person bringing a date or not. I mean, honestly, it's more customary like 2 weeks before. So this person doesn't say they're bringing a date or not yet. That's kind of like inconsiderate. So I don't know if it's like I need to know this because you're at the head table.
But she's saying she is bringing.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, no, I get that part, but. You don't have to say who the date is. You just have to say you are bringing a date.
But I mean, if you're at the head table and you're in the wedding and they are making like, like she's getting stuff done, she might need to know by a certain deadline because she submits that to whoever she's paying to do it.
Great,
they do it and it might be done like a
just
week.
Literally put like Sarah's date, like just put that on the name card.
I don't know.
Like,
she might not even have place cards. I don't really know. But
this is what I'm saying. This is why it's so dumb.
Why does my question is, if everyone has a deadline, it doesn't sound like what this is saying, but if everyone else has a deadline, this friend should have a deadline too, is all I'm saying.
Right.
Like if everyone else who's in the wedding can make this choice by a certain date, this lady can too. It does not seem like that's what's occurring. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. I think all those deadlines are stupid. Look, I get it. Like I think they're stupid if you have to name the person, okay? If they don't name the person, they just write Sarah's date. Like, that's it. Whatever. Like, they can bring whoever they want.
Yeah.
You have to name, because stuff happens, right? I mean, honestly, like, stuff genuinely happens. So, so calm down about that. I don't think there should be, but I agree with you. If there is one for everybody, then she should have it, which I agree is actually probably not what's happening here, which she's saying nobody has one, but I want to implement one for one person. Definitely don't do that.
Yeah, it sounds like she wants to know for peace of mind.
This girl's going to ask somebody else. So definitely don't do that because this girl's going to ask somebody else who's in the wedding and they're going to say, we don't have a deadline. And she's going to be pissed. She's going to ask some questions. So definitely don't do that.
Well, not only that, I feel like even if she gives her a deadline, she's going to go out and find a date and be like, oh, this person's coming by this date. And then that's going to be it. And you're going to like, it's going to be even more of a rushed, like, like her friend's just going to find someone.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Like that's not the way, a deadline is not the way to go about this is what we've established.
Right. Here's where I will agree with the bride and why I do think that I was right initially. I think this girl should tell her, you're not bringing another date. I know of a couple of weddings. Been to one that had a couple other ones where random people who don't really know anybody have caused like serious problems at weddings, right? So just like people who were just out, whatever, like have caused serious problems at weddings. If you don't want one, and I don't really agree with the bride on like, I don't want them in the pictures, like, okay, don't take pictures of them then, I guess. Like, that shit's not that hard. Like, that's not that difficult. And honestly, I'll tell you right now, I guarantee you're never going to look at your fucking wedding photos anyway. So it doesn't matter. Like, you're going to look at them the one time that you see them and you send them out to people, and you're never going to look at them again. So who cares who's in them? So just don't take pictures of them. Like that's not rocket science. But I do know like literal, like actual, like big time problems like that involve police officers and medical professionals and things like that. Like I know of places where that has happened. So if you don't want one, that's the excuse you use, right? You say, look, I've heard horror stories. I'm not having it at my wedding. I'm sorry if you don't agree with it, whatever. Now understand your friend's going to be pissed if you institute that. But you can say like, I don't want that. And you can try and use that excuse. But honestly, I think you need to have a conversation with her and just tell her all the other stuff. Like, hey, I think you're a bad person sometimes. And I think like you choose bad people for you.
Oh my God.
And there's a bigger problem here. That's what this lady needs to do. Like, it doesn't matter about this wedding because you're gonna keep having this problem. You know how many times you're gonna keep having to hang out with this girl as like a married couple or whatever? She's gonna bring her boyfriend. You're gonna have couples night. I mean, think about that. You're gonna have like couples nights and shit. She's gonna keep bringing people. So that's the conversation you need to have.
Yeah.
You need to start having that conversation with them. But I mean, whatever. Like, you can say like, hey, look, you have to go with this guy over here or whatever because of COVID or something or whatever. Like, you can try and say some of that stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're going to do something like this, you better know that you are risking having a real bad relationship with your friend. Like you're going to ruin the relationship with your friend, at least for a little while, right? Until you have a real conversation. I'm not saying don't have it. I honestly think you should have this question because I don't really understand what you see in this girl in the first place. If you're like, everybody else she hangs out with is a fucking lowlife, that concerns me for why you're friends with her. Because that reflects on you, right? Like that reflects on you that you are hanging out with people who only hang out with lowlives. Like that's a reflection of you as well. So if that's a conversation you want to have, then have the conversation. Understand it's probably not going to go real well at the start, but whatever. She's going to forgive you. You guys will figure it out, like all that stuff. I don't know if it's going to happen by your wedding, but whatever, it's fine. Who cares?
Yeah.
But that's I don't like, this has nothing to do with the wedding. This has to do with, I don't understand why you're friends with this girl, right? And this is what I'm talking about, right? Like, people get all crazy about their wedding or whatever. She's like, well, I don't want him at my wedding. And I'm like, I don't think you want this person in your life. Like, I think you have a genuinely deeper problem here, is that this person's in your fucking life. And they are affecting your life. Forget your wedding. Your wedding is one time. Like, that's not going to mean anything. It's just, it won't. It's not going to mean anything. 50 years from now, who gives a shit? But 50 years from now, you might still try to be friends with this girl, and she might have married some lowlife, and she can't get out of it, and all those things. And that's a real possibility, right? So this is what I'm talking about. She needs to understand that part of things, right? She needs to understand that part of things. So I don't know. That's my advice. I say I'm personally for that, because if you're inviting lowlives, like, again, I know what the downside of that is, like the actual real traumatic downside, like legitimately traumatic downside of that is.
Yeah, not just having him in background of pictures, like,
yeah, no, fuck that.
having
like,
him be the most memorable thing about your wedding. That's
100%.
not what that should be. And I really want to reiterate, like, giving people a deadline like that, forcing something, is only going to make them make poorer choices. Because you're
she doesn't sound like she does. She doesn't sound like she does well with
creating urgency about something without actually addressing the problem. So the problem you want fixed is not going to be fixed. It's just going to like get addressed sooner. Maybe not even sooner than it would if you just had an actual conversation about it. But it's going to get addressed in a really mismatch Frankenstein way, because you're not actually, you're just coming up with something instead of having a conversation with someone, which is a reoccurring theme in every kind of relationship.
Yeah, it's not that
just
difficult.
have the conversation you need to have instead of making shit up to not have a conversation.
Yeah, your situation isn't any different. Like, just do your thing, like, whatever. But it's your wedding. Look, it's your wedding. If you don't want to have her, just tell her. But understand what that means, right? That's the type of stuff you're getting from this show, right? It's very specifically, I'll tell you something, but I'm also going to tell you that there's a downside. And a lot of people won't tell you that, right? A lot of people, whatever, they'll say either, you can or you can't do that, but they're not going to tell you. What I'm telling you is you got a bigger problem. But if you're going to set it down, it's your wedding. I think you should do whatever the hell you want, but you got to know that there are consequences to that. Either you're going to be stressed out the whole time, wondering what this guy's going to do, and potentially have the other downside where, like you said, he's the most memorable thing about your wedding, or you're going to put your foot down and understand that your friend is probably going to be mad at you for a little while at the very least, right? So, make your choice. You have to decide.
even the excuse her friend is coming in with, oh, but like it could be true love. Like I can't bring a date. Like this girl's wedding is
Oh, that
not
shit's
about her
crazy.
friend
That
finding
shit's
love.
crazy. I
Like
didn't
who the fuck
realize.
cares? It's one night. That's not love then. If they can't go one night with
Shit, I didn't.
like
I
that's,
missed
you
that
know what I
part.
mean? Yeah, that's what she explained it like
Oh,
in a
fuck.
convoluted way. It was kind of in a rant where they have a mutual friend that could go, but she won't go with this
Yeah, no,
mutual
I got that
friend
part.
because it could be true love, or I could find love, or you know, that kind of stuff. And it's just
Yeah,
like,
no, then you definitely need to
it
have a
sounds
conversation with her.
like
You need to have
the
a conversation.
friend wants to get laid at the wedding. There are probably going to be other people there.
Of
If
course she
there's
wants to get
not,
laid.
she can
She
go one
absolutely
night. I
wants to
mean,
get
it's about
laid.
this friend's wedding, and the the bridesmaid can get over it, and the bride can like just tell her, I don't want this shit at my wedding. You're here to support me. Let's get in line and move on.
What? You know, this girl needs to find somebody else to dick her friend down, and not this mutual friend, because it sounds like she's not attracted to him. She needs to find somebody else. She needs to find another single dude and just randomly invite him. Whatever, invite him from work. Who gives a shit? Just tell him, hey, look, guaranteed, you know, it's a layup for you. Whatever. Just get it figured out. You know what I mean? Like, do something like that. You know, let's get a ghost of girlfriend's past situation going on here. Let's just get designated sex date, whatever. Let's get that going. You know, let's think outside the box here. Let's think outside the box. If she wants all about love, whatever, find what this girl should find her love, right? Spread your joy,
Yeah.
spread your compassion and what you're feeling about your wedding. Spread that shit to your friend. Find her some love so that she can get married, so that you can get laid at her wedding. You know, by your husband, whatever. But still, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying. You know, but yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I changed my mind. This girl, she needs to tell her, you can't bring a date because I'm going to find you a date. I'm going to find you love. That's what she needs to do. You know, she needs to stop being selfish. This girl's being selfish. She's being a bridesmaid, she's being selfish. All right. I think we did it. That was another Wedding Wednesday. God damn, these people get so dumb around, but they do. They just get dumb around weddings. Just genuinely stupid around weddings.
I took away from today was if you don't like who your friend's picking, you need to make sure you pick someone for your friend to hook up with instead.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, take the initiative on that.
Yeah, this is basic stuff. This is real basic.
At the end of the day, it's your own fault.
Yeah, this is fucking rocket. This isn't rocket science. You know what I mean? Like, this is relationships 101. That's all this is. You know, I don't have an advanced degree in this. I'm just solving people's problems. That's all I'm doing, right? All right, we did it. We helped her out. I hope her wedding goes well. I hope this other girl gets laid by somebody who's not a fucking psychopath. Obviously, that would be great. So we, you know, if you got comments on this, you got other wedding related questions, any of that, you can hit us up. What's the email?
It is info.yourrelationshipsucks@gmail.com.
Right, so you can hit us up there. You could come, you know, if you're watching the YouTube, you know, like or subscribe, whatever all the things you're supposed to do there. You can find the podcast if you're doing that. You know, we appreciate it as well. You know, do the subscribing, all that stuff. You know, if you're doing one, do the other one for us. You know, whatever. It takes like 3 seconds. You don't even have to listen. Yeah. We don't even care. But we really do genuinely appreciate anybody who's out there listening, watching, all that stuff. So thank you very much. And we will be back next Wednesday with another wedding catastrophe that we are going to help avoid.